really like the concept of something not just being built anew or being built fresh or coming off the assembly line completely new, but being rebuilt or reforged. I mean, we tend to see this a lot in stories. I mean, for almost every, like, oh, this is the high tech or top of the line stuff, or we have this single prototype that we can now use for this purpose. But we also have something getting rebuilt, like a ship has been retrofitted, or a sword has been reforged, or is in the process of being kind of cleaned up so that it can shine and shimmer once more. So it's just sort of something interesting that's a trend that we often see. And other reasons for that. And now the first kind of reason to jump to mind or is probably that it's just sentimentality. We don't really like to let things go. It's like a child with their favorite toy that they have growing up. So the toy has really been through it with all kind of the wear and tear of childhood, but the child still loves the toy, even if it's not really as nice as it used to be. So they don't really generally want to give it up. And another thing we can see of is that with long-run stories, we have a tendency to almost get attached to a certain era, especially the era we came in on. And we just love that era, so we want to see things almost operate in that era. It's like we don't really want to see a return to something where like the crew or the team has been split up, or maybe they have a different vehicle, or maybe the status quo has changed. We don't really want to see that. We want to almost keep imagining things as they should have been. And maybe we are okay with things that came before, but things afterwards that may refute it or change certain things about it is no deal or not canon, whatever you want to say. So it's just sort of an interesting habit that I see play out. And so again, we might first think that's the reason we want to see things rebuilt or have a reunion or whatever. We want to see, we want to keep things as we used to know them. But I think there's another purpose. And to start with, I want to share this kind of tradition from Japan, and I believe it's called Tetsude. I hope I'm saying that right. But in doing with it, it almost acknowledges the history of something being broken, where basically they are like a broken piece of pottery and fill the traps in with gold lacquer, so, well, lacquer laced with gold or another precious metal, so that it is kind of fixed and completed, but you see the tracks. They are now a part of it rather than having them be erased. So it's just sort of an interesting tradition, and it does almost speak to this desire I believe we all have. We want to see things made right. We have this trend towards justice. Again, I'm saying we want to see things made right. We want to see things restored, made complete, made whole. Again, if something wasn't able to be used for its purpose, we want to see that thing be made to its purpose. If something has served a purpose well, we may want to keep it with us. It's like a childhood blanket being made into a jacket or a pillow. We want to keep those things with us. And it's almost in a sense of justice that we want to see it, I think. And in the same manner, we could assume that we want to see the rightful team return. We want to see things made right. But again, that also is based on our perspective of things. And I think that's where we kind of really get messed up in, is that we each have our own perspective of not only how things made right looks like, what that right looks like, but also what those things are that need to be changed. So a lot of conflict comes from that, but we all have that tendency, and I think it's a natural tendency towards that. And so it naturally flows into the stories we create because, again, as we are, so what we write or what we create comes out. And as kind of the finishing note, there's an interesting line from Lord of the Rings. And it's when Gandalf has returned and Legolas, Aragon, and Gimli are greeting him or have found him, and they're apologizing for mistaking him for Saruman. And Gandalf replies, I am Saruman, or rather Saruman as he should have been. And it's just sort of an interesting thing because we often don't think of how things often get off track or out of purpose of something. Now, again, sometimes something finds an unintended use that's actually a good thing, but how often do we get distracted from its use? It's like, it can kind of be almost like the toy that you keep in a box because it's become a collector's item, but originally it was made to play with. So it's just sort of those interesting things where the unintended use is not always there, or maybe things haven't done use. It's like, if we kind of believe in people having a purpose, how oftentimes do people feel like they don't meet their purpose, or they've fallen short of that purpose, or how oftentimes we might try and almost run away from our purpose. So it's just kind of interesting to see having that phrase as they should have been. So it's something to kind of think about, especially when you have characters that can almost be diametrically opposed and one has fallen into evil, what that role looks like as they should have been. It's like, especially when they've been like in a advisory role or whatever, they're supposed to be a good person, but they've fallen. So then what does that look like restored and made right in what that position as it should have been? So again, it's something that's kind of easy to play with and maybe just suppose rather than actually write out. But I guess these are just some of my thoughts on this. But feel free to share yours in the comments below. Anyway, if you like this video, you can, well, like it and share it so that others may enjoy as well. And if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to our channel so that you can see more. Anyway, I'm Jonah, and you've been watching Lions Mane Media, where we celebrate stories and the lessons you learn from them. Talk to you later, and have a great rest of your day.